Welcome to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I'm JJ Flizanes, your host. Thank you so much for downloading the show. I love you guys. You rock. I love hearing from you. I love even hearing when you're complaining about a guest that I've had. And in fact, that is one of the reasons why I am recording a brand new, never to be published before show right now. I want to thank Natel Fitzgerald for reaching out to me. And for those of you that have reached out to me through other modes of communication on social media, Instagram and Facebook are my favorite. So those would be the two places to get me. Otherwise, you can send me an email, info@invisiblefitness.com. Twitter's fine, but I don't have conversations on Twitter. So before we get to the meat and potatoes of today's show, I have a few announcements about things that are happening on September 1st. Lots of things happen on September 1st. First and foremost, the Invisible Fitness Formula 5-month transformation, which is a video online program that I created it's a video or two every week, plus worksheets and workbooks and questions and visualizations and different audios and clearings. And anyway, there's a ton of stuff involved in that program. I was really schooled over the last couple of weeks. Been at a lot of events this month, and I was told that I need to be selling that program for $2,000. And yes, it is absolutely worth $2,000. I charge way more than that actually for a 6-month coaching program that has less information recorded. Like at least with this program, you could watch it several times. You have all the tools right there. You can do it on your own time and you can repeat it. So while I'm not going to charge $2,000 right now, I'm currently charging $297 and it goes up to $697 on Friday, September 1st. So if you're at all interested in releasing weight or ending body shame or dealing with your health in a new way that really connects mind, body, and soul, I'm telling you because I was just talking about it with some people over the weekend or during the week at an event that I was doing. I was not selling it. And I woke up this morning to a bunch of sales because people heard me say it was going up in price. And so I thought, that's probably not fair if I don't tell everybody, just in case you're somebody out there who thinks, oh, I'll do it later. And you can do it later, but the price will be more. So if you're interested, the Invisible Fitness Formula 5-month transformation, which you can repeat at least 2 to 3 to 4 times in the next couple of years, is $297, and it will never be this low ever again. So Friday, September 1st, it goes up to $697. If you are interested, go to invisiblefitness.com, click on the book, and then click to the right. It says Invisible Fitness Formula Transformation. Okay, so that's the first announcement. Second announcement is that Friday, September 1st, we start our next 30-day manifestation challenge. It is free. For those of you that are registered, please make sure you follow the link in your email to join us on the Facebook group. If you didn't know about it, please come and join us. You have a few days to register. You can go to fit2love.tv/30daym. I'll quickly spell that. FIT2love.tv/30daym. Okay? And if you're interested, come on over and we can do that. That's free, and it's an awesome community of people like you, because this is basically where I promote it. I mean, I did promote it in other places, but you're the main people. And so know that there are other like-minded people who listen to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy who are in that group. The next thing I'll tell you is that in case you want to do that, but you really don't want to be in the group, you don't want to share, you don't want to talk about it with people, but you're interested and you're willing to pay for it, I am actually now selling, and I've recorded 5 more brand new manifestation guided visualization audios, and I am including the first 2 that we have for free on the challenge to purchase, and they're pretty cheap. So you can come over to fit2love.tv, and I think it's under products. If you look under products, they're there, okay? And you can get them. And there's a deal. I believe each audio is $11, but you can buy all 7 for $47. So if you just want the information and you're not that interested in doing the challenge with us, now you have access to come purchase these and have them forever. Okay, is that it for my announcements? I think so, because September 1st is like lots of things happening on September 1st. And I just want to be sure that you guys knew that. So you have a few days to act on all of those things. Oh, there is one more announcement. I am going to start doing a contest to see who wants to have a free consultation with me. And I'm going to do the contest that once a month, I'm going to pull somebody from the list or from the audience that wants to do a recorded and will be published on the show consultation. And it could be on any subject matter. And if you have a business, you can get your business out there to the world. If it's an online business, probably even better. But even if it's locally and you share it with your friends or your customers, then it's another way to get business in the door or to hear what you're going through. And that's valued at $250. I don't have a link yet, but if you're interested, you can email me in the meantime, info@invisiblefitness.com, just to make sure that when it's all done, that I send it to you first. Okay? All right. So today's show. When the expert triggers you. So I mentioned Natelle. Thank you, Natelle, for the conversation we had. There may have been recently, I'm not going to mention names in case any of the experts I've interviewed listen to my show, and I know the one in question does not, but there may be others. And maybe you don't tell me because you're like, well, I don't really like that guest. And that's going to happen. There are going to be people that you don't like, either on my show or other people's shows. And I thought this was a great learning opportunity and a great topic to talk about, because I definitely want to address, in case you were turned off by a recent guest because of energy or whatever. And I want to use this, all of us, to expand, to grow, to take the work that we're doing on this show and the work that I do and use it, utilize it. There's no mistake. So what this reminds me of is years ago in 1997, 98, Dr. Cherie Carter Scott, one of my favorite authors back then, came out with a book called If Life is a Game, These Are the Rules. And it was her second book. And I saw her on Oprah with a client, and the client bought me this book. And then I went on to become a huge fan of her. She endorsed Fit to Love, and I read her, and I have her next two books. If Love is a Game, These Are the Rules, which is also a amazing book for anyone who's in a relationship or who's single. It doesn't matter. It changed my life, and I love this book and I love her. I think she's a very good writer. She's very conversational and story oriented. And this book came to me today as I was having this email exchange with Natelle about a recent guest on this show and what to do and how to process when you get triggered. So first, I want to talk about the emotional. What happens when you get triggered? What is that? There are a lot of shows I've done on victim mentality and on psychological things, and they're on a different day of the week, and they're not currently slated to appear here, but I probably will pull them in and put them throughout what's going to come in the next few months, because they are applicable to the journey that we're all on together on spirit, purpose, and energy. It's energy. Motion is energy, right? And when we get triggered, it's really easy to want to turn around and blame or point the finger at why we got triggered. That person did or said something that now I feel this pain. So it has to be that person, because I didn't feel this before, and now I'm feeling this pain now. And I know that in past shows that I've done with Lynn Boutrous, whether it be the depression show or the addiction show or the one on emotions and disease, when we get triggered, it's because we already have the wound inside of us. And people outside of us reflect back to us what is unhealed within us. And in fact, and it hasn't been on this show, one of my very first coaches, Carol Chanel, we talk about how not to take things personally. And we talk about that a lot. Maybe I'll republish that show here too. But one of the ways to not take things personally is to recognize that if you're triggered, that means that you have an unhealed wound. So let me go over the 10 rules for being human that Dr. Cherie Carter Scott, and I'll say it at the beginning of this show, and this is the framework from which we're going to talk about being triggered today. Number 1, you will receive a body. And of course, I deal with that on all the Invisible Fitness stuff, on some of the Fit to Love stuff. We haven't done too much body stuff here, so I'm not going to really go into the fact that you will receive a body. One of the first rules of being human. Number 2, you will be presented with lessons. Number 3, there are no mistakes, only lessons. Number 4, lessons are repeated until learned. Number 5, learning does not end. Number 6, there, quote unquote, is no better than here, quote unquote. 7, others are only mirrors of you. 8, what you make of your life is up to you. 9, all of the answers lie inside of you. And 10, you will forget all of this at birth. So obviously the ones that stick out for me for this show are that you'll be presented with lessons. There are no mistakes, only lessons. Lessons are repeated until learned, and others are only mirrors of you. So let's say you were one of the people that hasn't reached out to me yet, and you didn't like somebody that's been on the show, and you felt bad. Between the ages of 0 and 10, 0 and 8, and then of course any major trauma after that, those experiences imprint in your cells, from your neurological system to how that connects to your body. I mean, traumas absolutely affect your neurological and cellular memory. And that trauma sits in your body like a wound. So just imagine like a cut or bruise. And then everything that happens after that triggers it's like salt in the wound. It's not the salt that caused the problem, because if you just had salt poured on your skin, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? But it's because you already have a wound there. And Don Miguel Ruiz talks about this a lot in How Not to Take Things Personally and in the Four Agreements. So if you haven't read the Four Agreements, it's another great book that kind of goes over the emotional body and how the emotional body has wounds in it. And he gives a really great picture about all of that. So how we leverage this experience, why I'm happy to have this conversation with you today, is because while I don't want to trigger you, my goal is never to trigger anybody, actually. Or, well, maybe it is, but not in a negative way. It's to evoke a response that I believe you want, a transformation, an expansion that I think you're on this earth to experience. And while I won't probe and prod, maybe I'll do it on the show because I have the freedom to do that. But in person, let's say, I wouldn't be necessarily a bully to you. I accept and honor wherever you are. But if I'm meeting with you and you're working with me and you can't see yourself like I see you, I can see your healing and your health, sometimes more in your expansion, more than you can. So sometimes I may invite you into my world so that you can see where I think you want to go, because you have a comfort zone that maybe you're unwilling to step out of, but I see a different picture, which is in an expansive way to where you are. And so for that reason, I may use words or experiences, and I've gotten better over the years. I'm pretty attuned to not pushing you past what it is you're willing to get to. But I can't on this show because we don't know each other personally. And if we do, I'm not seeing you. I'm not looking at your body language. I'm not talking with you. I'm not seeing your response. So when I put on somebody or have a subject matter that may trigger you, know that trigger is information. That trigger lets you know that there is a belief and a feeling that you have that is calling out to you to be healed. When someone like an expert of anything, of any kind, it doesn't even have to be an expert. I mean, I titled today's show about experts, like when the experts trigger you, but it could be anybody. I mean, let's be honest. It could be your mother, your father, your brother, your husband, your wife, your kids, the teacher, the mailman. Anybody can trigger you. And especially the closer you get to home, the deeper the wound and the easier it is to be triggered. But let's say in the case if you're listening to the show and you get triggered, you don't know that person. That person doesn't know you. They're not speaking directly to you. But now you feel bad. And I like to use that as just an indication and an acknowledgement and an awareness for you of, rather than just go into the trigger, I don't like that person. And that's fine. You cannot like them. You absolutely don't have to like everybody. But where we want to go with triggers is to be able to say, why do I feel this way? What does this say about what I need to heal? Thank you for triggering me to show me what I need to work on. And then I want to get to the place where the trigger is healed so that I can not like you, but it doesn't bother me. I can be the observer in the situation, recognize these different traits, and even more so, get to the place where I have compassion. So there's somebody in my current experience, and this person has been displaying a lot of what others will want to call arrogance. So let's say person A. Person A, and this isn't my judgment. Let's say there's person A, and then there's person B and C. Person B and C are people that have come to me and have said to me directly, that person thinks that they're better than everybody else. And I see it differently. And I see it differently because I can see through it. I believe that I see the bigger picture. I believe that I understand that that is a compensation, that person A does things, says things, acts in a way that they're better than everybody else because deep down they are so afraid of everything else. And they have such insecurities and unsureness and disconnection from who they are that this is the only thing they can lead with, that they feel confident about and good about themselves. So they go a little bit overboard to compensate for where they lack. So for me, looking at person A, I can have compassion. I don't get triggered when they act arrogant and trust me, many people think I am. So I've had to come to terms with I can't control how you interpret me, which is why I extra love all of you because you're on this show, which means I must not trigger you or you must get value from me because otherwise you would have hung up and unsubscribed or given me hate mail by now. As I expand and as I keep going on my journey, I'm starting a publicity campaign in September. I'm going to be throwing people. I'm going to trigger people. Just my being is going to trigger people, and I know that, and I understand that. And so my journey up until this point has been to take the trigger moments to heal me so that I can hold the space for someone who hates me, for someone who's blaming me for where they are, for someone who, it happened on YouTube. For those of you that don't know, I have a YouTube channel where I put my cooking videos and my exercise videos and when I speak or when I do interviews. And this show actually has a few episodes on YouTube, and all the episodes will eventually be on YouTube as well. But I had somebody who commented on a video about why I'm different as a personal trainer. I did the video, and they, of course, did not like me because whatever I triggered within them. And so they decided to tell me how I don't know what I'm talking about, that I have no idea, I'm too skinny to ever understand where they're coming from, and blah, blah, blah. And I heard that. And it didn't hurt me, didn't affect me. It affected me, but I could feel their pain. They don't know me, and I don't know them. So how do they know what I know? All I know is that they're in pain and frustrated. And so they wanted to come and yell at me because they have pain and frustration, and I triggered that in them somehow. So as I expand into more and more, there's a producer that asked the publicist if they had someone to talk about the anti-diet movement. So there's a possibility I'll be on the Today Show in the upcoming months if they go with this segment and if they liked what we presented them. It may happen, it may not, but you're hearing it here first. If I get on the Today Show, again, there'll be people that really love me or people that really hate me, and that's just a fact of life. So what do we do with it? So there's someone that you've heard or a speaker or whatever. Why not utilize it as a cue of growth to be able to say, you know what? This triggered me. I don't like that person. And you don't have to like that person, and you don't have to like me. But why not take this situation and leverage it for what it is? It's a reflection. When you are triggered, you have a wound that person did not put there. It's been there for a while that needs to be healed and addressed. Just like Dr. Cherie Carter said in number 4, lessons will be repeated until learned. So if we take this trigger and think about how many times in your life do you keep getting triggered about this issue? Every time you get triggered is a new opportunity to really look at it. And I used to be really supportive of all therapy in general. And I've totally changed my stance on that because after working with people who have therapists, working with different therapists myself, learning about different kinds of therapies, being friends with therapists, a lot of the traditional therapy, kind of like Western medicine, in my opinion, is about compensation. Let's say, for instance, you have this issue. So it's about planning for what to do when you get triggered or how to avoid this situation and not get triggered. And that's not healing. My journey has been, you can't control others. You can't walk around wondering if this is going to happen or if that's going to happen, or God forbid, being ready and on deck to do A, B, and C if you get triggered. Oh my God, that's so stressful. I did this show, and hopefully you guys on this show really want real spirit, purpose, and energy. You want true transformation. You don't want to continue doing the same thing over and over again and have the quick fix and take the drug to numb the pain. You know that there's freedom and healing on the other side of that. So why not heal it? And I've done it, so I can talk about it. I have taken from being a people pleaser to defending myself when people don't believe me or want to argue with me or aren't listening to my suggestions, to literally being yelled at by a client who loves me because they needed to outlet their frustrations because they couldn't do it to the people in their life. So I became the safe outlet for them to yell at. Now, it wasn't disrespectful because I don't put up with that. The boundary is I would have walked out. I wasn't disrespected, but I sure was yelled at. I was the punching bag. And trust me, I have learned how to be the punching bag. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. But sometimes people need it. And I can see that. It's happened with family members. It's happened with friends. It's happened with clients. And I can come out of it saying, I understand why you needed that. And I have a big enough vat and container to hold your pain and not have it affect me, and for me not to take it personally. But that takes work. So my lesson today that I want to impress upon you guys is that on this spirit, purpose, and energy path, on this use of astrology, on this use of psychology, on this use of whatever it is, it's not, I don't take a woo-woo only approach, right? I take a scientific approach as well. And I'm not just like, oh, let's deny and meditate and law of attraction it away. That's not it either. And it's not get triggered and then ignore it by using law of attraction, because when you're triggered, you're too far down the ladder of whatever that negative feeling is for you to feel joy and love. But what you can do is leverage that situation to grow and to expand. Because again, lessons will be repeated until learned. So there will be people, possibly, and now hopefully everyone that has been on the show you've loved so far, but it's just going to happen in life. And if I think that there's value in the content, I mean, you may not hear me because obviously I'm respecting who comes on the show, but there are people who I see their pain. They don't see their pain. They don't understand, or maybe they think one thing of themselves. Let's go back to person A. Person A is arrogant in some people's eyes. Person A doesn't fool me. I see the pain underneath the arrogance. But you really can't see it in someone else if you can't recognize it within yourself. So that's why all of my work, whether it be releasing body shame and releasing weight and healing that and using law of attraction and using all the things that I have on this show to better serve you, to heal you, what that does is expand and connect and align you more, which makes you more resilient, which makes you expansive enough to actually see what's really going on. Because anytime somebody is really in a negative, hurtful, fearful place, they're disconnected from source. They're disconnected from themselves. They're in immense amount of pain. And when that triggers pain within you, it's hard for you to see that. But it's an opportunity for you to heal your pain. And it's a gift if you want to take it that way. And that's how I present this information is to, rather than become a victim all the time to other people's opinions or judgments or arrogance or know-it-allness or strong judgments about other people who you don't agree with. That's who they are. There's a quote that Esther channeled Abraham, and I used to say it all the time, but it goes something like this. When you can allow another who's not allowing you, then you've got it. I'll say it again. When you can allow another who's not allowing you, then you've got it. The minute that you demand or ask other people to be different, you give your power away. You cannot control anybody else but yourself. If we all just freaking focused on ourselves, we'd all be fine. But we keep trying to control other people to make them different so that our experience is better. And that's just not how it works. It's illogical. It will never work to yell at someone else and tell them how to believe, how to be, or all you can do is work on you. I mean, obviously, and I'm not telling you to be different. I'm just offering you information or insight as to the path. The path is we take a victim mentality that says, my environment affects me. Or you can take the empowered non-victim position to say, I create my own reality. And when something comes into my experience, I can take it, not get so triggered by it, see it for what it is, and use it as information to make me better. And then once I do, those things stop happening. So whether it be law of attraction, expansion, healing, I can call it 10 million different things. A therapeutic healing, when you heal those things, they stop happening. Or you can see them differently and they don't trigger you. And so that's my goal and wish for you with the show, with the people that I bring on, and with the information that I'm hoping to emulate and be an example for, is that we can only control ourselves. And it does feel really good to be in a place where I have been yelled at, I have been judged, and I'm going to continue to get judged. I know it. I'm too strong of a personality and I trigger people now. I triggered my family. My family doesn't talk to me, not my mother, father, brother, but there's a whole part of them who completely disowned us because they didn't agree with what we did and they wanted us to admit that we were wrong. And I didn't, because we weren't. And they didn't want to agree to disagree. So I got kicked out because you know what? I was the punching bag. I became the punching bag for what people can't really say or really focus on. And that's what they needed. And that's fine. I honor that. But I don't have to stick around for it. And while I wish everybody well, and I would invite anybody back in who wanted to have a true connection, I recognize that people are in pain and they lash out at other people because of that pain. And I vowed I never wanted to be that person. And so I try not to be. And I take all these experiences and try to leverage them into making myself the best that I can be, because that's all I can control. And then when I do that, I influence other people. And that's what I'm hoping to do here. So thank you, everybody, for being a part of Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I hope I didn't talk too fast today. I was on a roll here. This is like the third time I've recorded this show because I was all weird with the mic, and you don't need to hear all that. But the fact that I'm still invigorated by it, that I'm still inspired by it, and that you guys have conversations with me. So let me know how you liked today's show. Please forgive me, if you will, if I triggered you at all. Know that I love you and that it's for your best, most expansive self and for your alignment. I don't ever mean to hurt anyone's feelings or do anything that would offend anybody. There are times where I may want to kick you in the butt just to, get you going, but it's never to use any kind of shaming or guilt tripping or anything like that. I use information. I use myself as an example, and I hope to inspire you to live the best life you can and to heal those things that keep getting in your way, that stop and prevent you from getting the things that you want in your life. So thank you again for being part of Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. And make sure before September 1st to take advantage of all the things I mentioned in the top of the show. The price increase of Invisible Fitness Formula Transformation, the 30-day challenge coming up in September, or if you want a free coaching session. But that I'm going to announce that again, so don't worry about that. And if you haven't already, I would love if you went to iTunes and wrote a review for the show. Obviously, I want you to write a 5-star review if you, hopefully, and if you don't want to, that's fine. But I would really appreciate and love some reviews on iTunes from you guys, because you're the ones who listen every week, and I do appreciate that. So thank you so much. Thank you again for tuning in to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. If you're inspired and want more, come on over to fit2love.tv and check out our Freedom Fridays, or find us on iTunes. More at Fit to Love, physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness for the happy life you deserve.